Hello, television family. Happy Tuesday, 28th day of July, 2026. Dan Kuntz driving the bus. Hail to the bus driver. Friendly reminder, the primary election is 1 week from today. I got my ballot in. I know. I went to the ballot verification stuff-a-majig. You can go to the Secretary of State's office and just type in the field, your information. You get your matchback report that tells you, yes, I got it. Yes, it's been counted. We're good to go. So in case you're curious, you can do that if you want. It's public record. Very nice day today. They got some pretty good progress going on the fires. We'll briefly touch on that. Air quality is a little bad in the Aniat area right now because a little giant fire, the smoke from that is funneling right down the Aniat River Valley. We do have news. Weather, as far as that's concerned, pretty mild. Going to be a little breezy tonight, basically late this afternoon. From about 5, 6 o'clock this afternoon until about midnight tonight. Then it dies down. No wind at all Wednesday night, most of Thursday, then a little bit of wind on Thursday night into Friday. All those details are coming up. Plus news. Mariners are now in third place in the American League West. Texas took 3 of 4. Pretty uninspired effort. Now they get to take on the Dodgers in L.A. That'll be fun. In the interview portion, Oscar Rodriguez, who sits right next to me in the newsroom. He's a very talented young journalist. He's been doing good work with the Wenatchee World and here at the NCB Live channel for about the last 6 years. Wanted to get to know Oscar? You will too. In the back half of the program, it's time to take our tour. At 2 minutes after the hour, there's the valley. Beautiful morning. We hit 90 yesterday. Normal high 90. Overnight low yesterday 64. Normal 64. It was about as normal as it could be. As far as fire conditions, it's not going to be too bad today until we get to tonight. No red flag warning, no fire weather watch now. That could change later on today as we warm up. We're not going to be up to 90 today. We're going to be a little bit cooler than that. The Ability Go camera. Now, the closest AQI thing that we have up there is Brewster. And last I checked not long ago, it was about 85 or 86 on the scale. Keep in mind that is a lot of real estate, so that smoke may not be as dense as it looks like on TV. For one thing, you can see Brewster. The only municipality in our viewing area that has unhealthy air or even hazardous air is Aniat right now. We'll show you why in just a little bit. There is the Hay Canyon camera, zoomed out a little bit, looking back towards the Wenatchee Valley. Just a couple of high clouds out there. Weak cold front pushed through, which is why we're not going to be up to 90 today, nor tomorrow, for that matter. We're not going to be up into the 90s until Thursday. And let's take you up to the Nanapoc Ridge camera. There it is, a little giant fire. And as you can see, the prevailing winds are blowing that smoke right down the Aniat River Valley and right into Aniat. Aniat's at 170 something or other on the AQI scale. That's unhealthy or hazardous. Actually, it's just not very good. Hopefully that'll clear out. The fire, the little giant fire, still no containment, but it's also found some pockets where either it has already burned in fires in years past, so there's not a lot of fuel, or it's got rocks and very little vegetation on the little giant fire. That's good, because rocks, to my knowledge, don't burn. We always do this on Tuesdays. We check in with the Climate Prediction Center. This takes us into the early parts of next month, August. This is Sunday of this week through Thursday of next week. Temperature-wise, normal. The real heat wave is going to be continuing to be in the southwest corner of our country. They've had just unbearable heat in Southern California, San Diego, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, into the Phoenix area. It's been scorching down there. Precipitation is on your right, maybe a little below normal, about normal to below normal. So really nothing crazy weather-wise is coming our way as we say goodbye to July and welcome August. So one thing you do notice, the days are getting shorter. We lose another 2 minutes and 28 seconds today. Sunrise was at 5:34, sunset tonight at 8:40. From the National Weather Service, lots of sunshine today, just a little breezy. Later in the day is when the wind will be picking up at its highest intensity. High of 86, which is below normal. It'll be a little cooler than the 90-degree mark we hit yesterday. 59 for the overnight low tonight. Again, as I mentioned, the strongest winds today will be between about 5 o'clock this afternoon till about 11 o'clock tonight. Then it dies down. No wind in the forecast on Wednesday. Very pleasant day. High near 88. Clear tonight. Wednesday night, 62 for the overnight low. Sunshine Thursday with a high of 91. Thursday night, mostly clear, 63. Pretty nice on Saturday or Friday. We warm up a little bit to a high of 94. A little bit of wind overnight Thursday into Friday. Don't really know how strong the winds are going to be on Saturday. They're pretty confident it's going to be at least breezy. Whether we change that from breezy to windy is another story altogether. And that's another cold front that's coming through. Again, we're talking cold fronts in August. So take it with a grain of salt, which is why we're only going to get to 83 on Sunday. All in all, pretty quiet weather. As long as the wind dies down, the firefighters can maybe make some more progress on the area wildfires. Going to take a break and come back with the news on this Tuesday. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
The Surf and Slide Water Park is open from Memorial Day through Labor Day. Surf and Slide is located in the heart of Central Washington in Moses Lake with activities for all ages and abilities. Check out Surf and Slide's Flow Rider Surfing Simulator, Lazy River, 2 200-foot water slides, tube slides, and diving boards. Our children's area includes a Treasure Island water structure, splash pad, and baby octopus slide. For season passes, visit us online or find Surf and Slide on Facebook.
Are you dealing with a pest or weed issue and you just don't know what to do?
We use the best pest control methods approved for areas with kids and pets.
Whether it's rats, mice, ants, or spiders,
or something else altogether,
we provide the coaching and solutions you're looking for.
And you can know that your dollars are supporting a local, family-owned and operated business.
Allow us to help you get back to living healthy and pest-free. Harvest Valley Pest Control.
There's something about this time of year. Longer days, open windows, more time spent at home with the people who matter most. For generations, Boswell's Home Furnishings has helped families create spaces that feel warm, welcoming, and lived in. After 100 years serving our beautiful valley, Boswell's commitment remains the same. Quality furnishings, personal service, and gratitude for the community that made it all possible. Boswell's Home Furnishings. It's closer than you think.
How are things going with your parenting plan?
Amanda and I decided to do mediation with the Columbian Basin Dispute Resolution Center. We really wanted to avoid the costly attorney fees.
I didn't even know mediation was an option.
Yeah, they even train people to become mediators. They did such a good job, I'm actually considering taking the training myself.
I'm so happy for you guys. When parents work together, it seems everyone is happier.
Their mediators really listen to your wants and needs. I'm really happy with the outcome. Coming, buddy.
Little smoky up Omak, Okanagan way. Not too bad down here. We'll top off at about mid-80s anyway. It's going to be a little cooler than it was yesterday. A little breezy overnight tonight and a little breezy overnight Thursday night into Friday. Outside of that, wind should be pretty calm, we hope, and temperatures just a little bit below normal. An East Wenatchee man was arrested by Chelan County Sheriff's deputies back on Wednesday of last week. The accusations, sexually assaulting two 6 to 8-year-old girls. 40-year-old Ricardo Espinosa booked into the Chelan County Regional Justice Center under suspicion of 3 counts of first-degree rape of a child, 1 count of attempted first-degree rape of a child, and 2 counts of first-degree child molestation. The allegations were reported to the Chelan County Sheriff's Office in early July. Deputies are asking anybody with information about Espinosa's alleged conduct who may believe that there could be additional victims. You're asked to submit a tip by going to the Chelan County Sheriff's Office website. Well, school comes back, about 6 weeks from now? Not too far off. Columbia Valley Community Health will be hosting their annual back-to-school health fair. It'll be August 8th at its East Wenatchee campus. Our news director, Rick Boone, went there to get the details.
What is going to be happening? What is this event?
We are hosting our annual Back to School Health Fair, and we are so excited about this. This has been an annual tradition for many years. CVCH has hosted this with the help of many partners throughout our community. We give school supplies to over 1,000 children every year. That includes backpacks, colored pencils, paper, all of the school supplies that help kiddos be successful for the upcoming school year.
And what day is it? Where is it going to be? What are the times? What do parents need to know?
Yes, it is August 8th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here at our East Wenatchee campus, which is 980 Eastmont Avenue. We don't require pre-registration, but it is first come, first serve. So come early, be prepared to go through. This is a very busy event, so be prepared to visit all of our different booths. We also will have a number of community partners with us. Over 30 local organizations and businesses will be here tabling and offering resources in addition to the school supplies. This is a great opportunity to not only get the school supplies that you need to start the school year, but also to learn about options for physical therapy, for many community organizations who offer social services as well as other types of resources. In addition to that, our Columbia Valley Community Health Member Services team will be here as well to answer any questions that you might have about Medicaid enrollment or any changes around that. We'll also have our dental team as well as our behavioral health team to talk about the services that we have available for kiddos.
Will there be any registration needed, and is this absolutely free?
It is absolutely free. For our general event, there is no registration required. However, we are also offering this year for the first time an accessible pickup. So what that means is for folks who have specific disabilities or specific medical needs, we are offering an alternate pickup on August 15th. That does require registration because we'll be pre-making those kits ahead of time. So if you would like to register for that, the link is on our Facebook page as well as our website, cvch.org.
And finally, you need always donations. I mean, you don't have everything you need. If someone wants to donate, can they? And how do they do it?
Absolutely. So we are always looking for donations for this event. This is entirely funded by our community. We've been really fortunate to have so many people generously donate to this event, and not only this year, but throughout past years as well. In order to have enough supplies to cover everybody, we really rely on these community donations, and it is not too late if your business or organization would like to donate toward these supplies. We can coordinate that. You can email me directly at Tracy, TRACY.styles, STYLES, at cvch.org, or just call our front desk and they'll get you to me. Our phone number is 509-662-6000.
WorkSource Wenatchee Valley, they closed their East Wenatchee office at the end of June. They did business at the offices of the Chelan-Douglas Community Action Council this month, and come Monday, they'll be at their new headquarters right here in Wenatchee. They're going to share space, WorkSource is, with SkillSource. Makes sense to me. Rick Boone gets us caught up.
So WorkSource helps individuals find jobs, training, and helps them with their careers.
And also, you're doing some moving here.
We are doing some moving. So we are moving from East Wenatchee to Wenatchee, and we're moving in with SkillSource, one of our partners in the WorkSource system.
And what's the purpose behind the move? Why did you do it?
So to be with our partner, SkillSource, so that customers and individuals can have more access to more resources.
What is the job market like out there? Are people finding jobs? Are you helping them get that job they're waiting for or looking for?
Yes, we have staff that help individuals with their resumes, with job search, with interviewing, and so our resource room is open from Monday through Friday from 8 to 5.
And this location, by the way, where's that?
It is located at 234 North Mission Street in Wenatchee, Washington.
The people you can help, is it only people that are unemployed, only listed through the Employment Security ESD, or is it anybody who can walk off the street and be looking for some help?
Anyone can come in off the street. We will help anyone that is looking for a job.
Okay, and anything else anybody should know about WorkSource?
So we will be having our open house for the public on September 17th. So we're excited for people to come in and see what we're about and to come take a look at our new space.
And that's what's going on. The news will tell you what's going on, too, tonight at 5 o'clock, then again at 5:30, and then at 6 o'clock, then it gets 6:30. That's on television, or as we like to say in the business, television. Also on YouTube, right around 5 o'clock. And if you got a news tip, send us an email, news@ncwlife.com. The Mariners, well, highlights, if you will, coming up with sports. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Your favorite local channel is now available for free on your smart TV and connected streaming devices. Watch live programming and catch up with the latest shows on demand. See the local stories that matter to you. NCW Life, now on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Somewhere behind these doors is a family member, often alone, taking care of a loved one with Alzheimer's or some other disability, or providing care for a loved one who is not ill but only aging and no longer able to care for themselves. In the field of caregiving, this is the home front. For the home is where most Americans will live out their last days. Contact Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington for a variety of services, including caregiving, meals, and medication help.
Apple Valley Honda is bringing the future of driving to you. Introducing the all-new, all-electric Honda Prologue EV. Say goodbye to gas stations and hello to a whisper-quiet ride and zero emissions. The wait is over. Finally, a local option for a quality EV from a brand with a track record of exceptional quality and reliability. Experience the Honda Prologue EV for yourself at family-owned Apple Valley Honda. Stay close to home and visit us at Apple Valley Honda today for the life you live.
Summer is here and Collins Fashions has a great selection of lightweight tops, capris, sundresses to keep you cool. So many events and parties in this summer, and we have special occasion dress wear for you. Fall fashions will be arriving soon from French Dressing, Carly B, Nick and Zoe, Joseph Ribkoff, Clara Sun Wu, Habitat and Cut. New Brighton jewelry and handbags arrive every week, and Brighton has beautiful gifts for the special people in your life. Personal service, great selection at Collins Fashions in downtown Wenatchee.
Let's do some sports. Jock Peterson hit a home run, then he hit another home run. Ezekiel Durant hit a home run. Jake Berger hit a home run. They all play for the Rangers. 7-3 was the final. The Rangers over the Mariners yesterday. Texas takes 3 of 4 in this series, and their lead in the American League West is now 2 games.
Jock with 17 homers, 36 RBIs this year. There's a swing, and that one is hit well. Deep out to center. It is gone! Another Jock Peterson leadoff homer. And that is some kind of way to start this one. Rangers up 1-0.
Mr. Momentum, a breaking ball here that hangs out over the plate. 106 off the bat and gets into the Mariners to start off this game for the Rangers.
Randy, a home run yesterday, now a dozen on the season. This ball carrying almost to the same spot as last night. Same story. Home run, Randy Arozarena. He has homered in back-to-back games, and both times without his helmet on.
He needs to get a better fitted helmet. There's a fastball out in the outside part of the plate. And again, that tremendous power the other way. The power is back. 2 last night, another one so far here this afternoon.
And now Jock Peterson, he had that home run in the first inning. And there's a swing and a high fly ball. Deep down the right field line. Has a chance. It is gone! Jock Peterson! His second homer of the day. And that one big explosion has the Rangers back in front, 4-1.
Well, yesterday it was the Mariners' designated hitter. Today, it is Jock Peterson.
Out to left field, Wyatt Langford there. Plenty deep enough. Julio gets the job done. Mariners get a run back. 4-2 on a Rodriguez sacrifice fly.
Now Berger, he popped out on the first pitch he saw last inning. There's a swing and there's a fly ball. Deep out to the left. That one's gone. swinging today. Their 4th home run of the day off George Kirby. Unbelievable.
Look at all those home run balls I got. What a day for the Texas Rangers.
See if this one will stay on the track. Crawford reaches over, and J.P. Crawford makes the catch.
Game when he came in, a 4-run game now. 2-2 pitch, and a swing and a miss. He got him on the...
Things don't get any easier for the Mariners. They're in L.A. to take on the world champion Dodgers. First pitch on Mariners.TV tonight at 7:10. Mariners are now in 3rd place in the American League West. Here's your scoreboard. Of course, there's the Rangers beating the Mariners. The Astros beat the Angels 6-4. So Houston is now in 2nd place, 2 games behind the Rangers. The Mariners fall to 2.5 games out of 1st place, and the Athletics are still 10 games out. Wenatchee Apple Sox down to just 9 games. That's it. They're going to the playoffs. We know that. They have a very good chance of winning both the first and second half West Coast League championships. That would be cool. They're at Kelowna for 3 games against the Falcons starting tonight. Then they're at Kamloops over the weekend. And then they're home to Victoria next week. And then it's playoff time. So go Apple Sox. Just 9 games left in the regular season and only 3 more home games before the playoffs begin. And those are just some of the games that people are playing. Happy National Buffalo Soldiers Day today, which is a great song by Bob Marley, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Buffalo Soldiers. First organized just after the Civil War. In 1866, the first black professional soldiers used in peacetime. Their ranks were filled with recruits from all over the United States, both veterans who served in the Civil War, former slaves as well. Their main job, protect the West from cattle rustlers. They even protected Native Americans. There were white settlers who were trying to horn in on Native American lands that the federal government gave to them. They said, you got to take a hike out. They did basic law enforcement. Buffalo Soldiers had the lowest level of court martials and desertion rates of any regiments in the U.S. Army. Especially towards the end of the Civil War, hundreds and hundreds of soldiers were deserting every day. Buffalo Soldiers, they stayed with it. Between 1897 and 1890, 14 Buffalo Soldiers were awarded the Medal of Honor. Not bad. Buffalo Soldiers. There's a couple of really good books about the history of that regiment, and you should read them if you get the chance. Today is their day today. It's 22 minutes after the hour. Today in history, we try to do constitutional amendments when they are ratified, and one of the biggest ones ever, the 14th Amendment, ratified on this day, July the 28th, 1868. Of course, it was in all the news because the Supreme Court basically upheld what it says. Birthright citizenship is exactly what it says. Due process of law, the Equal Protection Clause. You should read the 14th Amendment. Some of it is black and white as it could be, and others, other parts of the 14th Amendment, which is pretty long, has a lot of ambiguity, and almost every major significant Supreme Court decision of the 20th century was based on some clause inside the 14th Amendment, which became the law of the land on the state 158 years ago today. World War I, well, here we go. It's official. July the 28th, 1914, Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia, and all the pieces fell into place, and here we go. World War I is now official. The good guys, the British Empire, the French, the Russians, the Serbians, the Dutch, the Japanese, the Italians, America, we got in there, Romania, Portugal, China, and Greece. That's the good guys. The bad guys, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Bulgaria, and the Ottoman Empire. Spoiler alert, good guys win. World War I, the war to end all wars, which didn't, began on this date 112 years ago today. July 20th, 1945 was overcast and cloudy and misty in New York City, and a bomber, an Army B-25 bomber, on its way to land in New Jersey, simply lost its way flying over Midtown Manhattan, and it crashed into the 79th floor of the Empire State Building at about 9:40 in the morning on a Saturday. If it had been any other day, Saturday or Sunday, the death toll would have been in the hundreds, but it was a Saturday morning. Nobody was really in the office, simply couldn't see where he was going. Crashed between the 78th and 80th floor, an 18 by 20-foot hole in the building. They shot right into the offices of the National Catholic Welfare Council. Everybody on board the plane, as you might imagine, died, but only a few people in the building actually died. One of the engines went all the way through to the south side of the Empire State Building, landed on a roof of a nearby building, caused a fire there. The other engine and part of the landing gear went all the way down an elevator shaft, caused a huge fire. 2 days later, the Empire State Building was open for business any other day but a Saturday morning. And it would have been bad news. The Empire State Building hit by a plane on accident 81 years ago today. Lyndon Johnson's Defense Department people, Bob McNamara, his chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, said, LBJ, either we're in or we're out. And LBJ said, well, let's go for it. It was on this date in 1965 that President Lyndon Baines Johnson announces on national television, we're going to increase the number of troops in South Vietnam by 50,000. There were already 75,000 troops there in the summer of 1965. It would be up to 125,000 and then another 100,000. After that, we're in now. As LBJ said later on, I didn't want to be the first American to lose a war. He did. 42 years ago today, the games of the 23rd Olympiad opens in Los Angeles, California. The opening ceremonies at the Coliseum. Of course, LA gets the Olympics in 2028. After the financial disaster that the Montreal Games were in 1976, nobody bid on the 1984 Games. LA got the Games by default because they were the only city to bid to host the Games. Now remember, the Olympics are hosted by cities, not countries. But Peter Ueberroth said there's a profit to be made if we do it right, and he sold anything that was sellable. From Coca-Cola to McDonald's to Chevrolet to Ford to IBM, you name it, they sponsored it. So the Games actually made a profit of $250 million. After the Montreal Games lost like $1 billion. I think they're still paying for that one. There was, of course, a boycott. The Soviet Union and 13 communist countries did not come, paying back for our snub of Moscow in 1980. Romania came, though. China did, too. For China, it was their first Olympics since 1952. And the 1984 Games wasn't really much. The U.S. team benefited the most. We got 174 medals, 83 gold. There's a legendary decathlete, Rafer Johnson, lighting the Olympic torch. The LA Olympics opened on this date in 1984. And finally, on this date, 30 years ago today, Bill Thomas and Dave Deasy were floating on their inner tubes on the south shore of the Columbia River. It was the hydroplane races, the big hydroplane races on that Sunday. They were just floating on their inner tubes. Bill and David were probably sucking down some bears. There was a nice little sandy bar, a little inlet, so they went over there and got up into the sand, and they looked down and they found a human skull. Called the cops. Cops called the coroner. Coroner said this skull has been here like a long time. They eventually dug up almost the entire skeleton of Kennewick man, estimated to be about 9,000 years old, discovered by a couple of guys floating on inner tubes on the Columbia River. The reason that they found the skull and eventually the bones is that erosion and waves and stuff basically exposed the skull. They eventually dug out the whole thing. And then it became the subject of about a decade-long legal dispute between the United States Army Corps of Engineers, who controlled that portion of the Columbia River, and the Native American tribes, who said Kennewick man belongs to us and we should bury him. And finally, after a long legal dispute. The House and the Senate passed legislation returning Kennewick Man to the tribes of the Pacific Northwest, who then had a private burial service about 10 years ago, and only they know where Kennewick Man is. So they got to study the bones and the remains, and then they gave them back to those who wanted them. We don't normally do first ladies for birthdays, but Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis gets an exception to this. Of course, the wife of the president who saw her husband murdered right in front of her very eyes in Dealey Plaza in November of 1963. Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, the 37th First Lady of the United States, was born in the state in 1929. She's been gone for over 30 years now. And Terry Fox, if you're old enough to remember, and I do, Terry Fox was a Canadian. He got cancer. In 1980, to raise awareness and funds for cancer research, Terry Fox ran across Canada from the East Coast all the way to British Columbia. Eventually, the cancer spread, forced him to stop his run after 143 days and 3,339 miles. He would eventually die at the age of 21, but he remains one of the Canadian legends and a guy who was very much everywhere in the news back in 1980. Terry Fox, born in the state in 1958. For Heat and Air, call Alpine Air. For Heat and Air, call Alpine Air. They are our platinum sponsors. I'm assuming that they don't watch the show. How does Mike Minotti feel about rap music? We'll find out together in just a couple of minutes, and then a great conversation with a very talented reporter, Oscar Rodriguez, who does some of the best work that you read in the Wenatchee world. He'll be joining us when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
NCW Life Channel is your local TV station. We believe in being the spotlight and mirror to the communities we serve in North Central Washington. Programming on NCW Life would not be possible without our sponsors. Special thanks to our platinum sponsor, Alpine Air. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air.
It's time for BC Outdoor Sport Fishing TV, Season 16, with your host, Mike Mitchell.
Your favorite local channel is now available for free on your smart TV and connected streaming devices. Watch live programming and catch up with the latest shows on demand. See the local stories that matter to you. NCW Life, now on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV.
Community is more than just a place. It's the people, stories, and connections we share. At the Wenatchee World, we're your neighbors, your storytellers, and your trusted voice. From uncovering the issues that matter most to celebrating the moments that bring us together. We deliver the stories that keep the community moving forward. The Wenatchee World, your community voice, here every day.
This is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and everybody is entitled to my opinion. Now, my musical tastes are pretty eclectic. While my fave genres are rock and the blues, I also have to admit that I do love the big band music of the 40s. Glenn Miller's In the Mood, Artie Shaw's Begin to Begin, that's great stuff. And however, I can't deny the legitimacy of rap music. Okay, I don't like it either, but I have to admit, if rap had been around when I was younger and my testosterone level was higher, I probably would have liked some of this stuff. So maybe while some current musical genres may not be to your or my taste, I think that I think rap music deserves some respect. Maybe. This is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and that's my opinion.
Chelan PUD works hard year-round to reduce fire risk and provide dependable service for our customers. But when extreme fire weather is forecasted, we may resort to a public safety power shutoff, turning off power to a specific area in order to prevent fire. In this rare event, we'll keep you informed before, during, and after the shutoff. To stay prepared and check if you're in a PSPS zone, visit chelanpud.org/PSPS.
From the ocean to the mountains to the forest in between, vacation time can be a fun time. But not if your car breaks down. Let the professionals at Global Car Care be your car maintenance partners. Global Car Care, serving our valley for 25 years. With expert service, integrity, and quality workmanship. Global Car Care. They speak your car's language. Slide and surf all summer long. Soundwave Saturdays, more than a surf park, it's the summer scene. Grab a drink and enjoy live music every Saturday in July and August. Slide Waters in Lake Chelan. Don't miss it. Welcome back to the program. Ever since the shotgun marriage of WIC Communications, Wenatchee World, Washington Media LLC, happened with us, the NCW Life Channel, solely on broadcasting LLC. That was in October of 2024, and we've had a chance to sort of begin to consummate the shotgun marriage, and it was last January, February or so, when the editorial staff of the Wenatchee World moved from their building at 14 North Mission to our luxurious accommodations here on North Chelan Street. So the editorial staff of both the television station and the newspaper have now been together for a while, and I've been endeavoring to bring on my new co-workers, including the gentleman who sits in the bullpen to my immediate left. And let's give a big wake up on Wenatchee Valley. Welcome to Oscar Rodriguez, the man himself.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing this. Thanks for getting your haircut.
Yeah, you know, that's one thing I couldn't abide. Sorry.
I give Oscar a bad time about his hair. It was Sean who did the seating chart when it was decided that it's probably best that the editorial staff get together in one room, and it is best for that. It makes for a better product. Somehow we decided you were going to sit next to me. I'm assuming you were being punished at that time.
Yes.
How did that happen?
Well, yeah, we didn't get a lot to say. And when I saw the seating chart, I was like, oh, here we go.
I don't know anything about you, even though we sit next to each other. I looked up your bio on the World's website. I learned even less.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at an Oscar Rodriguez resume, what am I seeing? What am I reading?
Yeah, more or less a Wenatchee native, technically born in Modesto, California, but moved here to East Wenatchee or Wenatchee when I was around 12. So I've spent more time here in Wenatchee than I have in California at this point. Graduated from Eastmont High School, went to the University of Washington where I studied English literature and communications with a specific sort of intent for journalism. And then right out of college, it would have been the summer of 2020, I started looking for a job. The pandemic had just hit, and I applied to the Wenatchee World for a temporary 6-month grant-funded position where it was bridging COVID-19 coverage and the Hispanic community, given I'm bilingual. And from there, you know, I presumably did a decent enough job where they wanted to keep me around after the 6 months ended, and they just put me on as a sort of general assignment reporter, and I've been picking up beats ever since, and it's mostly so far. Currently, it's been just government-related stuff or courts, for example.
UW, good job. That's not easy to get into.
Yeah. I was always an overachiever in school. You know, the company I kept were also a bunch of nerds, so that kind of rubs off. But yeah, and it was either University of Washington or Western that I was going to go attend, and University of Washington was the one that gave me a pretty nice scholarship, so that influenced my decision as well.
So you're not going to be making student loan payments until you're 97?
I did. The last year, I think it more or less ran out, so I did have to pay about half of it last year, so I'm still technically paying off some student loans, but definitely not too hard.
I can make a couple of phone calls and
yeah,
take care
can
of it, man.
you? With the federal government, because it's the government that has my loans.
It's not who you know. It's who I'm related to. So where in the development of Oscar Rodriguez did the I think I want to be a journalist thing happen? Was it just like over time, or did you have an epiphany one day? How'd you end up here?
I think I'd always been interested in the sort of skill of writing, the study of English literature. Like I said, I double majored in college, and that started since I was probably in the 8th or 9th grade. And from a lot of people have stories of that one teacher that kind of like shapes their sort of worldview, and I had a teacher like that at the junior high. And since then, I'd always been really, passionate about writing, passionate about, the storytelling, that kind of thing. And since 9th grade, I kind of knew at that point it was either going to be some kind of English professor, a high school English teacher, or a journalist. There was always those 3 options. And when I went to college, one gets kind of an itch to work. Once you spend 4 years just studying the whole time, you're like, feels like a waste of time. I don't think it is, but it definitely feels that way a couple times when you feel a little discouraged, especially when you're studying something like English literature. So eventually 4 years come up, and I'm like, I gotta go do something practical, and I picked journalism.
Well, you want to pick something that's very lucrative to your pocketbook, of course. Your coworker who sits immediately next to you, Jenny, Appleleaf, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Jordan Appleleaf, Wenatchee High School. I was in Appleleaf back in the early 80s, back when the paper wasn't nearly as good as it is now. Why doesn't Eastmont High School have a student newspaper? What's going on? They should.
That is a good question. I know that, as young as I might look to some people, I'm nearly 30, and it's been a while since I've been in high school. I'm trying to remember. I think the yearbook class had something similar to Appleleaf, or nowhere as near as robust or as with as much history. And I think you had to take yearbook to have any sort of like brush with journalism. I believe I might be mistaken, or that might have changed, but I couldn't really tell you why. Yeah, I honestly don't know.
It doesn't make. I mean, it's certainly a big enough school to justify it, and you crank out 700 copies every month or every couple of weeks. The kids are going to read it.
I imagine. I think they did have not scheduled release of some kind of newspaper. I recall with a couple guest articles from students. I recall that, but I remember only ever seeing it once or twice my whole time, the 4 years I was there. So yeah, I can imagine they should probably get on that if they haven't already.
You would be a good advisor for that. You would be. You would be good.
You trying to get me more work?
No, of course. You got enough going on. You got phone calls to return and important people to talk to. There must have been some sort of teacher that influenced you along the path to becoming Oscar Rodriguez journalist. Does anybody jumps out at you?
Honestly, as much as I just speak about how impactful they were on my life, and I can't remember their name now. She was the 8th grade honors English teacher at the time. I believe I have a couple brothers who are still in the system, and I recall when they went through 8th grade that she was still there. So, shout out to that teacher that I don't remember their name.
It gets harder as you get older, Oscar. I asked Pete O'Kane this when he did the show. Journalists or reporter? What do you prefer as a term? To me, journalism, to be a journalist is a little bit more, I don't want to say higher up
than
a reporter. So Pete kind of thinks they're somewhat interchangeable.
I think fundamentally they're probably interchangeable, but I do agree with you. The connotation of journalist does have a sort of higher ring to it. So I usually just lean towards reporter.
Well, to me, you're a journalist because I read your stuff. How do you? I also talked to Pete about this. Do you pretty much a go-getter? I mean, you said you're an overachiever. Do you find the news stories, or does Pete or Emily kind of say this is the direction I want you to go in for something like that?
I'd say about 50% of it is assigned work that comes in through our inboxes, or the sort of general upkeep of things we know to keep track of, like the court system and city council agendas and things like that. The other 50% I'd say is things we look out for. For me, I have a pretty good knack for finding a good development story, because those have to, any big city project, or not necessarily city project, but any private economic development story has to go through the city system or the county system, for example, and that's all things you can track pretty periodically, pretty easily. And I've gotten pretty used to sort of understanding all the technical lingo that goes into, conditional use permit, all those, sort of technical terms. So yeah, like I said, 50% of it I'd say is work that I have to find out on my own, but otherwise the other 50% is general assignment.
When you and you have to build up a relationship and a great deal of trust to some important people, some movers and shakers and decision makers, and that probably makes your job a little bit easier once they know that, hey, Oscar is going to give me a fair shake. He's not going to slant it one way or the other, and that's critical, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say it definitely is. It definitely speeds up the process a lot more. If in the end result might be the same for either a new reporter, but it's going to take a lot more time for them to. I'd say the biggest thing. Less about trust, maybe. Obviously, they have to feel, they have to trust you at the sort of basic level that you're not going to slander them in the paper.
I think Wood Communications appreciates that as well.
Yes.
Spitballing there.
And we do the utmost to prevent something like that. But at the sort of I guess practical level, it's about when they see your number come up on their phones. It's I assume for them it's like, do I really want to give them the time of day? And I feel like for us, on a lot of our beats, like in the city level or the county level, they generally respect us enough to at least return us the call. Some others don't.
Do you have a sixth sense when you're dealing with somebody, even with somebody you've dealt with before on writing a news story, that you know that they might have a self-serving agenda, and you have to be able to, can you kind of just feel that out by intuition that maybe what I'm hearing right now from this person on the other end of the line is basically making them look good?
Yeah, I think any good reporter has that sort of sixth sense kind of on the whole time. Whenever they're talking to someone, what's the angle? What's their benefit from talking to me? What's their angle? How do they get something out of this? Because ultimately, that's the kind of relationship you have with, even if they, like you mentioned in the previous question, it's a sort of trust relationship. But at the basic level, they're a source. They're not a friend. Even if they are friendly, it's important to always have that sort of sense that they're getting something out of it, and you have to make sure that you're balancing that, between the newsworthiness of whatever you're reporting and, not letting them get one over you.
Yeah, and some of them are pretty good. I mean, they really are. But for the most part, we can separate the wheat from the chaff. And by we, I mean, of course, you. What's the best? What's the story? Must be 2 or 3 that might jump out. But a story that you did since you came to work for the Wenatchee World in the summer of 2020 that really you're proud of. When it hit the press and hit the website, you patted yourself on the back. There must be a couple of those.
Yeah, I'd say. When I first took this job, I never expected to be covering a murder trial, for example. That was always been, something you imagine or see in a movie. So I've covered a couple at this point, and all of them are surreal experiences, and that's always something I want to try to communicate to the public. It's a murder that's sitting on the stand, or an alleged murder sitting on the stand, and it's a jury's job to either convict or set them free. Another one, I always bring this one up, and it's mostly my own satisfaction with it, is a story I did on regional price parity, which is a very technical term for basically, the federal government comes up with these sort of values that compare how expensive one part of the country is versus another in one point in time. So just give a sense of what's the most expensive area in 2020, for example, and I wrote a pretty technical write-up on that I thought was pretty interesting. That more or less showed that Wenatchee's a pretty expensive place to live, basically.
Well, it is, and it's getting pricier. There's no doubt about it. The biggest drawback for a lot of people is there's only X amount of room to go around. We're in a bowl here, and we're pretty compact, and eventually the cereal pours over the top.
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing I hear whenever I'm reporting on housing in the area. That's always among the first things I bring up, the sort of limited geography we have.
You are an unabashed fan of Link.
I am.
And for good reason. Link gets the job done, and it's free. That's how you get around.
I do. I don't have a license. I don't own a car, so I rely on the Link transit system to get around. I'm sure some sources have probably noticed me walking around in a backpack when I come in to interview them, and they're like, they haven't never brought it up to me, but I imagine in the back of their mind they're thinking, I wonder why he always carries around a backpack. It's because I don't own a car. But yeah, I rely on the Link transit system, and I've always joked to my editor, Pete, that at some point they should probably put me off the Link transit beat, given how much I use it. And yeah, it's a pretty reliable system, and just from personal experience, I couldn't really speak more highly about it.
I love Link. I think Link does a great job. For one thing, and people kind of overlook this, it brings down people who otherwise might not come down from, say, Chelan or Waterville or even the Upper Valley they can come to Wenatchee and do shopping or whatever, and go back, and it's free. It brings more people into the valley to do their business, so to speak. So good, I like that. If you were put on, say Pete and Emily and Rick said, Oscar, we're going to put you on a 1 month sabbatical. We're going to pay you, and you can do any long form story you want. You're not under any kind of deadline pressure. Is there something a long form kind of journalistic enterprise that you would want to get involved in, something that interests you, but you just don't have the time to do it?
There's been a lot of those over the years that I felt like if we had just sunk our teeth into, would have been pretty interesting stories. I think the one that's most recently on my mind, only because we're actually doing some amount of coverage day to day on it, is the situation up in Malaga. It's been the case at this point, since I've been covering the county for about 4 or 5 years, that the Chelan County commissioners have been interested in an urban growth area out in Malaga. So it really just begs the question, like, what's their vision out there? Because it more or less sounds like they want to. I'd have to ask Commissioner Kevin Overbay, who represents that area, if he's looking 5 years from now, does he see a city of Malaga, a mayor of Malaga? What's the sort of vision out there? And what are the sort of, barriers between getting there, and what might be some of the consequences in getting to that point? That's a big one, and we are doing some amount of coverage on that lately, at least in regards to the Malaga Water District, for example.
And that goes to what we were talking about, is that if the Wenatchee Valley is going to physically grow, that's it. That's where the real estate is. Yeah, essentially.
I've joked to reporters. This would have been around when the port was buying up a lot of the land out there for economic development, was that if you were planning on buying any parcel of land anywhere, go buy in Malaga, because that property is going to go up in the next 3 or 4 years, and it basically has. And just to let people know, no one really took my advice, so no conflict of interest, I don't think.
Any regrets about picking journalism as a career? This is it, right? I mean, you're going to be a reporter until they drag you and your notebook out of the building, I suppose.
I've actually said that to our publisher, that I'll stick around as long as they'll have me. Obviously it's not a lucrative business like you suggested before. I'd really like it. I really like it too. But otherwise, I think ask any of the reporters that do this work, they're not doing it for the money. They're doing it because they think it's important, because it allows them to practice their writing. I know a couple of people like that. But yeah, we're not in it for the money. I definitely wouldn't say that.
Amen to that. This is not a lucrative job to begin with. Do you get feedback from your readers? I mean, what do they say?
I think there's a difference between the general Facebook comment you get under every story we publish online, and generally those tend towards negative. But
no,
right.
No,
big surprise, big shock.
I'm shocked that there's gambling going on in this establishment. Yeah, that's why I call it in your Facebook. Anyway, you were saying.
But otherwise, when I have a couple folks out there who periodically reach out and always compliment my work or provide some interesting feedback that I always appreciate. And when I think I did a good job, and there's negative feedback, I tend to ignore it. I have my own sort of standard, I guess, that I like to keep. But then every once in a while, I don't think I did as good a job. And there's folks out there that remind you, like, hey, this seemed like a tough story to do. I'm glad you did it. So there's a mix of feedback, I'd say.
There is, by the way, stay off social media, people. It dumbs down everything it touches. I'm convinced of that. What's coming down the hopper? I mean, crime court, city government, a lot of that is just, this is happening now, and you have to cover it as a news story. But what is coming down the hopper as we close out our conversation with Oscar Rodriguez that you're keeping an eye on? Talk about what's going on out in Malaga. They got the TIF going on, and the TIF between the Chelan-Douglas Regional Port Authority and Chelan County, pardon the pun there. That story's not going to go away anytime in the near future. Anything else that you think is going to be newsworthy, that's going to generate more news that maybe is not doing so right now?
It already has generated some news, but something to keep an eye out is just the East Wenatchee and Wenatchee City Council's plans to create a joint chief position for their both separate Wenatchee and East Wenatchee Police Departments. That's a big one that's going to be coming down the line. Word from East Wenatchee is that they're working on their draft interlocal agreement here pretty soon. So you could probably expect a story on that pretty soon. But again, that's probably the biggest thing that comes to mind.
One headline you will not read in the Wenatchee World is "People are leaving the Valley for better places to live." This is it, Valley Home? Is this going to be?
Yeah, I imagine so.
Good, good. I've enjoyed sitting next to you. Josie wants me to ask you, what is it that you're listening on your headphones? So.
Yeah, for I guess for any viewers, I constantly have a pair of headphones on at work, and I will not be revealing that on today's show, unfortunately.
Josie asked me to ask you. Hey, music is a personal thing. Music's my thing. So look for his byline, Oscar Rodriguez, and every Wednesday in the Wenatchee World they post a 2-minute video that you and your next door neighbor Jenny put together for the Hispanic community, so you can keep in the loop if your English is a little rusty, like mine. Have fun today. Sorry you have to sit next to me. And seriously, they have barbers all over the place. They cut hair for a small fee, and a link will take you there. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back. It's the NCW Life Community Calendar, a presentation of Evergreen Home Loans. Hot August Nights at the Numerica Performing Arts Center returns with Jamie Donegan's presentation of the musical 1776. 1776 tells the satirical story of the Second Continental Congress and the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The show runs July 31st, August 1st, August 5th through the 8th, and August 12th through the 15th. That was a live shot of our Billy Goat camera. Yeah, the fires are still out there. They made some pretty good progress yesterday. Didn't have to deal with any real wind. But we do want to show you, I think we have the Nanapoc. There it is. That's the Nanapoc Ridge camera adjacent to Lake Wenatchee. That is the Little Giant fire, which, by the way, has no containment at all. But they've been concentrating essentially on the south end of that fire, because that's where the fuel is and that's the direction that it's burning in. And so earlier today, Aniat had some pretty bad air, but it's much better now. I just checked. Aniat's at 123. That's unhealthy for sensitive groups. It was well into the red earlier today, so things are looking better for Aniat, and that is the direction that the smoke is going, right down the Aniat River Valley, which is why Aniat's at 123. Omak right now, the only other area that is unhealthy for sensitive groups, they're at 115, and the next highest in our area is Brewster at 82, and we're fine. Our air quality is looking good, although it's going to get a little windy tonight. A little bit cooler than it was yesterday. We hit 90 on Monday. We'll be at 86 today. Late this afternoon, starting about 5 or 6 o'clock, we'll have a little bit of wind. It'll die down in the overnight hours tonight, and then no wind at all for Wednesday and almost all of Thursday. It's going to be calm and it's going to be sunny. So, you know, these are 3 pretty good days for firefighters to get busy before it gets hot again on Friday. And then another cold front comes in Saturday night, which is going to kick the wind up again and cool us down. Provided the show isn't canceled, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.